All right, I went live, so we are live. Let me bring up OBS on my end. Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Life and another anime podcast. Where this week we're first going to be talking about guilty pleasure animes, which there's a lot of different definitions of that apparently. And then after that, we're going to be talking about Cyberpunk. So we will warn you before we spoil the dog shit out of Cyberpunk. But we can't wait to talk about Cyberpunk Edge Runners. So that's what we're going to do. Joining me this evening is the director of Undying Games, Owwen. Owwen, how you doing?
Hey, Marcus, thank you for having me here. Pretty good, thank you. Excited to talk about these topics today. For sure, everybody else is as well.
And then we also have Twitch streamer, YouTube content creator, just creator extraordinaire, DapperDice. How you doing, Dapper?
Good morning, everybody, and I'm interested to see what comes up of this first half of the conversation.
Then we have just all-around good dude with a great beard, the Viking Jedi.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me. I'm also equally excited to see how this conversation goes. I'm wondering if we're gonna get any spicy arguments like we did last week. But
I hope so.
I hope so too. I'll find a reason to pick a fight with you, Mangoose. Don't you worry.
Awesome. That works. That works for me. All right, so for guilty pleasure anime, there seems to be three interpretations. One was just straight up uncensored titty anime. People were felt that was a guilty pleasure anime. The other one was what I found interesting. And you guys pointed out Yokage no Soma or Food Wars as a guilty pleasure anime, and I finally realized it's an anime about guilty pleasures. I was like, I never even thought anybody would interpret it that way.
Quite literally.
Yeah. So, and then the other one what I was thinking is any anime that you'd kind of be guilty to let people know that you actually enjoyed. But let's start the show as we always do. Owwen, what have you been watching this week?
So this week I was actually finishing up, this season's last episodes. I finally finished watching High School of the Elite second season. Finally, watched the last episode of Overlord, which I'm very excited to see what's gonna, come up next. And as a matter of fact, before we started this, I actually watched the last episode of this season of Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, which is probably one of those titles that will come up on this subject. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty busy week for sure in the anime world.
DapperDice, what have you been watching this week?
Nothing as of this week, though I just was thinking back to ones that I have watched and ones that I do need to finish. Not to do with guilty pleasure in any capacity, but one that I do need to continue watching is Spy X Family.
Yeah.
So, I'll
Should
need
be
to
a
get back to
season
that
2
one
soon.
Exactly. I do want to catch up before that, and I also need to be ready for... I'm also planning to rewatch My Hero because season 6 is coming out this month, along with something about... I think it was Jujutsu Kaisen's also coming out with something this month too, or was that Demon Slayer?
I don't think Demon Slayer
This month being October. October. I think it's Jujutsu then, because I remember.
Oh, is it? I didn't know season 2 of Jujutsu was coming out that soon.
I thought when we talked about it 2 weeks ago, like, hey, by the way, don't forget to watch this because something's coming out soon. I could be wrong though.
There's a conversation there because I firmly believe that My Hero and Jujutsu Kaisen are very overrated animes. But
Wow,
that was our last week's conversation.
We finally found something. A subject where probably the Viking Jedi is gonna have a good topic.
I'm picking
Speaking
fights.
of Viking
speaking-
Jedi, what about you? What'd you watch this week?
So I actually, because Owen wasn't here last week, he posted in our group chat like his list of what he would consider like top anime from these last season of anime. So I took a break from the list that Mangoose put together for me and jumped into that. So I finished Akame ga Kill, which was, I think, really, really good. That's from the Mangoose list. But then I jumped into Classroom of the Elite, which I had not watched before, and I binged it. I loved that anime. I watched all both seasons I think in a day and a half maybe. It was awesome. So a big one there. And I just started this morning Overlord, which I think I've gotten through 5 or 6 episodes so far.
Jeez.
I've watched the first season.
I was gonna say season 4.
I'm on season 4.
Right,
yeah, I apologize if I said that wrong. But So I took some out of the Owwen pages this week to to try and get some of those. But I'm excited, man. I've never had this much anime to look forward to watching. So every time we start this show, you guys mentioned another one. I was like, oh shit, I still need to catch up on that. Oh fuck, I need to catch up on that one. And so there's just not enough hours for me to be able to play all the games that I want to play and watch all the anime. I need to have like something plugged into my brain while I'm sleeping so I can like consume stuff. You know what I mean?
You need a BD so you can just live it all out.
Yeah, or a Matrix or something, you know, where I can just learn kung fu. I don't know, but yeah. So those have been my anime. What about you, Mingus? What have you been watching?
Hazuki's Cool-Headedness, which was suggested for by a viewer for the 1010 animes. It's really funny. I've really been enjoying that. Finished off Overlord. Finished off Licorice Recoil, which I know Owen fucking loves that one. And by the way, it's Licorice. I don't know how many content creators I've seen pronounce it Licorice, and or call it Lyco Rico. It's like what? Like, I can understand mispronouncing some shit, but they say licorice very clearly. It's very clearly licorice, but they say it very clearly in the show. Licorice Recoil, not fucking anyway.
Yeah.
I get mad about dumb stuff. That's what I do.
I mean, fair. When something's that obvious, it's fair to be a little peeved when people just make such a blatant mistake.
You know what really grinds my gears? But let's move on to these guilty pleasure anime. The fans' guilty pleasure animes, the ones that people sent in, was Midori Days, Heaven's Lost Property, Dragon Ball, which kind of surprised me, Yayori and Yaruku-chan, High School DD, Chobits, High School of the Dead, and Death Note, which is another one that confused me, but they did explain that they felt it was like pretty damned edgy, so they were a little but gotcha. they still really liked it, and it is an edgy anime. But yeah, I think Death Note's very good anime. I wouldn't be guilty about watching Death Note at all. So that's those. So who wants to start off? Who wants to talk about their guilty pleasures?
I mean, so I don't mind starting off or letting one of you guys do it, but I do want to also point out, like, one of the definitions that I kind of thought of, because I kind of agreed with all of the definitions that were presented, that I could see, you know, guilty pleasure fitting into all those categories. Sometimes I would think, like, with my list, it's like, would I be, you know, a little like weird maybe if my grandma walked in while I was watching an anime. Well, in general, I would still like recommend it to anybody who watches anime. Anyone who wouldn't, you know, maybe know what's going on or expect it would be like, why are you watching this? That's a little bit weird. And so for that reason, I like, even though I wouldn't stop watching it necessarily, I would probably be like, grandma, you don't want to watch this. Like, that's, you should go watch
some of the anime though. Like, I started watching precisely this Cyberpunk anime, and literally the first 5 minutes there was this scene where I guess, you know, 18 plus is scene that if someone just walked into my room is gonna think that that's what I'm watching, you know?
Exactly. Fair. Yeah. So I think that's part of it for me, is that it's just like, you know, taking that into consideration as far as my quote-unquote guilty pleasures. While I have no real guilt about any of these anime or anybody else's choices in anime, I can see, like, you know, where maybe people would be a little on edge if someone that's not familiar with anime would walk in and be like, why are you watching this? So that's kind of how I took my take. And then my other take on it was ones that maybe aren't like mainstream, but I still find enjoyment from them. Like, you know, I don't, not that I wouldn't recommend them to other people or say that I like them, but they wouldn't be necessarily like, you know, the Hero Academias or the Narutos or whatever, like where you can recommend that to almost anyone and they're probably going to be okay with it. Some of the ones that are more like what I would consider off the beaten path, that are maybe not something you would expect from a guy who's 6'2", 240 pounds and has a beard, would watch, you know, something like that. So that's kind of how I took it with guilty pleasures, you know. So
I mean, that's one of mine is Slow Loop, which is obviously targeted at 7-year-old girls, yet like, it's a cute little anime about fly fishing, and here I am, a 42-year-old man, just watching the shit out of it, loving it. Like, I don't want to, you know.
It's basically me with Gabriel's Dropout, which was the one that I was gonna mention. I'm like, these those type of animes that I will not get paid enough to basically say that I like it, you know.
But you're on here right now telling the world that you like Gabriel's Dropout. I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen it either.
It's actually pretty funny. So Gabriel's Dropout is about this Archangel Gabriel, right? Who is supposed to be top of the line, best angel of heaven, and basically, you know, perfect scores, perfect grades, whatever, gets sent to Earth to kind of start his their project, and as soon as she arrives to Earth, she just becomes a bomb. Like literally, she does nothing. She, gets a computer, and the first thing she meets is an MMORPG, and she becomes neat. All she does now is just stay home and just play MMORPGs while eating chips and drinking alcohol and living everything like completely messed up. While Lucifer, who's the opposite in heaven, goes to hell. I mean, goes to Earth, and then it's the opposite, right? And it's a little bit funny because this is just a simple school anime, where these angels and demons go to school to try to learn about humans, and it's just a funny overall anime where these two hate each other but love each other in secret. And by love, I just mean like they have a really good friendship, right? And it's just a very funny anime. I mean, it's just that's the only way that I can describe it. It's just for the chills,
DapperDice, what's your entry?
When it comes to the one that I would consider most my guilty pleasure anime is Monster Musume, I believe is how it's pronounced. I totally butchered it probably, but obviously there's a lot of ecchi in that anime. But
Grandma
it's
would love it, right?
God no. No, the reason that it's on that list is one, because of the ecchi is like I'm probably not going to show this one to everyone I know, especially other anime fans. But I do like this story because it does tackle some definitely heavier topics about accepting who you are, how you fit into the world. Some people questioning their place, like, this is what I am, this is what I hold, but is this right for the environment that I'm in? So there's a lot of like mixing those things where one of the characters is really proud to be what they are, but being what they are is a problem for everyone around them. So do you change who you are for the people around you, or do you just tell them to accept it and then you don't change? So with conversations like that, and because obviously there's monster girls and just monster people in general, there's like, well, you're not human, why should we care about you? So you get into the heavier topics there, and that's what got me into it. It just happened that there's that which also got me into it. But
If you guys are,
it's that specific reason that all of those.
If you guys are unfamiliar with Monster Musume, you may know it better as Everyday Life with Monster Girls. I definitely watched it for the titties. It's pretty. It's actually pretty good. Like, it's an enjoyable anime. Like, it's one of those like sort of uncensored titty animes that actually draws you into the story and you can enjoy it. If there was ever a time that I wouldn't want somebody to walk in on me watching that one, it's when the Harpy girl has a phone stuck down the front of her shorts, and she's like, because she's kind of a lolly, and she's like getting off on the vibrations, and it's like, I would not want somebody to walk in right now while watching this, because then they would think I'm into fucking little lolly girls.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but
yeah,
there are definitely moments where I'm like, maybe even I could skip this.
Scorch Maximus, Monster Musume was the first anime you ever watched?
Well, welcome to anime. Everything only gets better from there.
That's pretty intense.
That is pretty intense. I like that.
I do agree, though. It is one of those kind of guilty pleasure anime, right? Like, for me, I had to stop watching it because sometimes it was just too much of the. I mean, it goes into one of mine as well, like Food Wars. Like, I love a lot of aspects of Monster Musume with like the story, like Dapper was going into. It's actually it's like a deeper anime than I think people would give it, given like, if you just watch the intro for the first 30 seconds where he's being crushed by a snake that's obviously enjoying it too much.
Yeah.
A very attractive snake, but which is weird to say. It's definitely one of those that you maybe wouldn't recommend to people unless you know them really well, that that's not going to be something they're going to look at you weird for after. But yeah, I could see being your first anime is pretty rough though. That's like having a high school DxD be your first anime. I'm like,
speaking of, by the way, the immediate responses started off with that and then went to DxD. So
that's
you went
great.
you went horizontal.
That's fine. What would you enjoy?
Here's a weird thing that they do in Monster Musume that I've seen them do in several animes. Is like this whole thing where they stroke the tail and then like it gets the woman off. But that is so weirdly suggestive. Like,
yeah,
like Why am I supposed to be enjoying this? Because I don't.
It's definitely one of those more interesting ones because it's like, why would that even make sense?
I don't
Why would
know.
why would you not?
Spider-Girl is
Why
best
would you
girl, by
leave
the way.
that uncovered?
Yes,
Like,
Arachnia,
this is-
Spider-Girl, best girl. That's what I said.
Yeah, in that one, I think Spider Girl is the best girl. But I didn't watch.
It's one of
I
the
didn't
few
watch a
times
lot
people
of
prefer spiders.
it. I didn't watch a lot of it. I think I stopped like because again it was just one of those things where it's like I couldn't watch it with like my daughter came home or something like that. It would just be a little too weird. But I definitely can appreciate it as a guilty pleasure for sure.
Yeah.
Mine was I already mentioned it. Well, one of them I have 4 total, but one of them was Food Wars, and I think a lot of people could maybe see why. Like I think overall it's still a good anime, but it does have its moments where if again my grandma were to walk in. And I try to be like, no, it's about the food and how beautiful it is.
Tasteful. It's tasteful. It's tasteful.
Yeah, well, it is right. That first one with the peanut butter and squid combination was really set the tone for what you're gonna get yourself into if you watch Food Wars.
Yeah.
But it is a good anime, right? I feel like it's got some good.
Oh,
parts
it's a
to
great
it.
anime.
It's really funny in parts where it's supposed to be funny. It's serious when it's supposed to be serious. Like it does a lot of things well. It's animated very well. Not just for the tits and ass. The food, dude. Okay, so I watched this one to start with my daughter and my wife, and the moaning and groaning part was weird, but man, that food looks so good.
That was
We would get
the
inspired.
best drawn food of any anime ever.
It makes you hungry.
Yes.
It makes you
cannot
hungry.
watch this anime if you're on a diet.
Yeah, all right.
No. Or before you go shopping for food, because you will buy, you want to make everything that they're making. Like it just looks so good, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And in fact, I actually went on to a few YouTube channels after that too, where people were making the food that was showing up on the anime and trying to recreate that. And it's like, but I ended up learning a lot too. Like it was actually kind of cool. I didn't really know that much about food, or foodology in general, and so I don't even know if that's a word, foodology. But I just didn't know. I don't fucking know. It sounds smart though. But yeah, so that's
food in that title. You continue.
that's probably one of mine. That would be a little odd, maybe, if someone were to walk in and not know what was going on.
For mine, I'm going a bit of a different route here, and I want to talk about. And I haven't brought this up in the Discord or anything, but I did put it on the thumbnail. Ari Ferretta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest. From somebody that hates the standard isekai stuff. Ari Ferretta is the most basic bitch, fucking isekai bullshit, 13-year-olds, goddamn power trip, wet dream, goddamn formulaic, asinine goddamn anime, but I fucking loved both season 1 and 2 of it. And I'm a little guilty about that because I'm feeding into this isekai goddamn madness. Because it's not even a good isekai. Like, Mushoku Tensei, good isekai. ReZero, good isekai. There are good examples of isekai out there. Ari Ferretta is not one of them, but I goddamned loved it. And I'm a little guilty about it because I'm perpetuating the isekai. I know it doesn't really matter much what the American audience watches. It matters a lot more what the Japanese audiences watch, but I just feel that I'm contributing to the fucking isekai fad by enjoying Ari Ferretta, but goddamn it, I can't help it.
You sell out.
I feel like a sellout.
I can't believe
Good,
this
because you
Manus.
knocked Jujutsu for not being original.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a very good beginning, right? It begins with this character who just decides, or not decides really, that he's betrayed by basically his classmates and gets left behind to die, right? There's literally just a handful of people who really care about the character. And by that, I mean like maybe 2 people. Everybody else don't give a crap about him. And he just has to survive through hell, like getting his body parts eaten by monsters and, grow to a point where he's like extremely strong, right? Even stronger than anybody else. So you kind of root for him because he's in such a deep hole that you just start liking the anime and just start watching it. But aside from that, man, it really is not that good of an anime. It just got a really good story.
That's so original. The character has to defeat various monsters and then gain their abilities. I've never seen that in an anime before. You know what I mean? But goddamn it, I loved it. I love that anime.
Add it to the list, Mangus. I
will say one thing I've seen in Ari Ferretta that I've never seen in any anime is a giant iron dildo getting rammed up a dragon's asshole. I've never seen that before in an anime.
Good. That's why he liked it.
That's why I like that. No, that happens like fucking well into late into into season 1. But the main thing that pisses me off though is he goes with like the little lolly girl, like that's his main squeeze, even though he has all these perfectly hot fucking women all around him throwing themselves at him, and he's like, no, I want this fucking 9-year-old. Like,
Ugh.
just
One
like,
that looks nine.
oh no, she's a vampire that's lived fucking 3,000 years. No, the fuck she's not. She's 9. I don't care.
Moving on.
Moving on. Who else has got one? Who else has got a guilty pleasure anime they want to talk about?
Go for it, Dapper.
Yeah, I don't really have many guilty pleasure animes. One, because I don't watch as much anime as I might come off as. And a lot of them, I'm proud to show my friends. But I mean, 2 that I did see that were interesting as we were rotating through the panning anime beneath us. One was Dragon Ball, which I guess I can understand. It's long, it's arduous, and there's a lot of campy comedy in that. But one that kind of caught me off guard, I saw Beyblade in there.
Yeah.
Huh. Did someone say that, or did you just find that?
I just threw it in there because I think you should be guilty if you enjoy Beyblade.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
now hold on.
There we
Well,
go.
in that case, I enjoyed the anime when I had Beyblades. Okay, it was cool as hell, and the games were fun.
Yeah, how old were you when you had Beyblades?
Like 12, 13. But
There you
still.
go. There you go.
No, that's like picking on somebody who still enjoys Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh or any of that stuff. Like, you can't get mad at somebody who enjoyed an anime as a kid and
I'm
still
not mad
has
at
an-
him.
Listen,
an
Pokemon is
nostalgic-
still badass, okay? I don't care if I still 10 years old, Pokemon's still badass.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
the
Well,
anime
Beyblades are
character.
kind of cool. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a Beyblade. I think Mangoose is just a dickhead.
I just think anime like that. I think like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Beyblade, Pokemon,
Yeah.
whatever. It's all basic. It's like the basic. It's like your fucking Starbucks and goddamn candles and
So
bullshit.
if it's basic, you should be guilty of it.
No, I mean like it's fine. It's fine to enjoy some basic ass bullshit, but just admit that you're a basic bitch and that you like basic bitch animes.
Wow.
Well, we found the argument point for today. If it's
Literally
not,
picking fights with like 95% of anime fans.
I know. I know.
People in the chat.
unless it's some title that's 17 words long or 1 word long. If it's neither of those, it's too basic, and you should be guilty of it because you don't want to dive deeper into anything. That's what Mangoose is going to die on that.
That's one of my pet peeves though, is when somebody like tells me how much they love anime and then I ask them what their favorite anime is and they're like Dragon Ball. I'm like, what all have you watched? Dragon Ball. Like, don't tell me you love anime when you've watched one fucking anime. You know what I'm talking about?
Probably not even all of it. in all
he
fairness.
has a point there, though.
No,
I
and
agree
that's
with that
perfectly
point.
fine.
I
Yeah,
agree
that's
with that point.
perfectly fine. Especially
think
if they haven't even watched the anime, because you don't watch all of Dragon Ball. You don't.
Nobody's watched all of Dragon Ball. It's impossible.
I-
Might as well say
I-
you've watched all of One Piece.
Yeah, I can't sit
I
through
can't
that.
sit
That's
through
too
that.
many episodes.
No, that's way too many episodes. I do agree with that point, though. If that's like the only anime you've watched or similar, and that's the only animes you've watched, then to me that's like you're like the bro of watching anime. Like it just doesn't do anything for me. Like I'm not gonna like shit on you and tell you that it's a bad anime. I just don't think it's. You're not really an anime watcher if that's just like I don't think like if you say, oh, I'm a gamer, and I'm like, oh, cool, what games do you play? Oh, I play Madden. Or I play NBA 2K, or like, okay, do you play anything else? No, that's just it. I'm like, you're not really.
You're not really a gamer.
I
It's
played
like
Angry Birds.
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, don't tell me you're a gamer and then tell me some fucking phone game. That'll really piss me off.
Fortnite
Yeah.
Mobile. No.
Yeah, Fortnite
Oh, no.
mobile version.
Weren't you
But yeah.
playing like Diablo Immortal not so long ago?
Oh,
Yeah, but I fucking didn't like it. That's for
he
goddamn
didn't.
sure.
He did not. He was bitching and moaning the whole time while we were like, we were recording for beta mails for that, and we were like, all right, well, let's like see how far we can get into it. And like he started off okay with some of like because the voice lines were pretty cool, and like he was excited to see some of the characters and stuff like that. And then as we got into like the gameplay, he was just complaining the whole time. He was just mad. He's like, God, I can't wait till we stop playing this and get this shit over with.
There was too many pop-ups, man. There was too many pop-ups.
It wasn't great. I'm just
fucking
it was
annoying.
like- he was so mad while we were playing. Like he really didn't want to be there. Like he was really. We had to hold his hand. It was pretty bad. but it was funny. It was good content. I
One
loved
of
it. I thought it was funny.
but back to anime.
Anime.
One of the definitions that was also given about guilty pleasure animes was like, in the show, it's about guilty pleasures and giving into those, or maybe trying to avoid those.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember what the exact name of it was, but one that immediately came to my mind after hearing that one was like, how heavy are your dumbbells? I believe.
How heavy are the dumbbells you lift?
Yeah.
Great
that's
anime.
one- Yeah, it's actually a surprisingly good anime. Definitely one where they talk about guilty pleasures, giving into stuff like that, because obviously it's about working out. It's not like the dude bro heavy lifting kind of working out though. It's like, hey, you're a beginner. What can you do to get into working out? What basic things can you do? What can you do at home? What are things to eat? So stuff like that. So you get characters giving into temptations like, today's a cheat day, just like it was the past 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good one if you want to, one, figure out basic workout routines, but two, it's just a nice little slice of life anime.
Yeah, and they do little cutscenes that actually explain the different workouts and explain like recovery and stuff. That's got one of my guilty animes too was Satan Academy, Join the Pack. It's an obvious, super fucking obvious Beastars ripoff. Like complete and total. Like I should not enjoy it because it is such an obvious Beastars ripoff. But goddamn it, I liked it better than Beastars, and they do that a lot too. Little informative things about animals, which is kind of cute. But the anime overall was kind of cute and funny, and I don't know. Beastars was maybe I wasn't in the mood for that serious of an anime when I watched that, but I was in the mood for something kind of goofy and simple when I watched Satan Academy. But I just really like they talk about how koalas eat poop when they're babies. They have to eat their mom's poop to get their guts used to digesting eucalyptus leaves. So one of the characters in the anime is a koala, and she's constantly trying to make food that tastes literally like shit. And it like cracks me up. It's funny.
Pandas are stupid. Pandas are dumb, dude.
There's a koala.
I was gonna say
Koalas even dumber. Koalas, I think, are one of the dumbest mammals on Earth, and they have STDs. They all have syphilis.
Yeah. No, but pandas are also pretty dumb. They can only eat one thing, and they're really bad at it. I don't know.
It's also not good for the digestion either.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Pandas are dumb. That's
Pandas
Jedi's
are dumb.
hot take for tonight.
Yeah. So I put on one of mine, and this is kind of like a slices life, and to me, it's not really something I'm guilty for, but I definitely wouldn't feel like I'd recommend it to everybody unless I already know what kind of anime they maybe like. But it's My Roommate is a Cat. It's way more of like a chill out, relax kind of anime that's kind of cute, and it doesn't, it's not meant to be like a really in-depth or, intense anime like some of the animes we've talked about, like especially on our 10 out of 10 list. I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 anime. It's a cute anime. Like I think the other one that maybe people would put in there is like Fruits Basket. So if you like Fruits Basket, you'd probably like My Roommate is a Cat. I didn't watch that much Fruits Basket, so it couldn't be one of mine, but I know when doing some research, people put that as one of their guilty pleasure animes was Fruits Basket, and it fell into a similar theme for me, so I felt safe putting it as a guilty pleasure, as one that I enjoyed watching, that I probably, knowing the kind of anime I typically like, wouldn't have enjoyed, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really fun and cute. The cat was so adorable. I'm not even a huge cat person. I'm more of a dog guy, but I don't mind cats. It's not like I hate cats or anything like that. I've had plenty of cats in my life, but it's just, I don't know. It was just cute. It was fun. So that's my second add-on. We haven't heard from Owwen in a bit. What was another one of yours, sir?
The problem is that I had already, for example, selected High School DxD here, right? High School DxD is one of those animes that I don't know if shamelessly say I have previously watched. And I think that High School DxD has an amazing storyline that is aside the fan service, which is obviously one of the biggest things in that anime. But High School DxD is basically about this guy who ends up basically fighting multiple gods and, wanting to save the person who saved him, which in this case is Ria's Gremory, which happens to be a devil, right? So his sake ends up becoming a devil on her behalf to try to protect her, right? That's his whole story about it. But he happens to be the biggest perv in the whole universe, right? But I mean, I guess that one right there would be one that I would recommend for the story, if you don't mind fan service, for sure.
High School DD is really good. Where it fell off to me is the moment that Kaneko also fell for Issei, because I love that all these girls are following him. Kaneko is just was so aloof, like the cat that she is the entire time, and she would always call him out on being a perv. It would never was always busting his ass, and I love that about that anime. The second she fell for him, which is like in season 2 or season 3, that anime just went downhill for me, because I was like, oh man, not even she's fucking fawning over him. I was like, fuck that. I want Kaneko to be the badass that she was throughout the entire thing.
I kind of felt that same way with Kame Got Killed. When the one girl, the tinier one, whatever, she would also be given the main
with the pumpkin fucking gun.
Yeah. I thought she was a great character, and I kind of liked the same thing. It was like she was of the main characters, the only one that was kind of keeping him slightly at a distance, and then they swip. I don't want to give away too much of people. Well, I guess it's been out forever. I can do spoilers. She switching around to them now being in love. Like, it was like such a quick turnaround to where it was like basically like 2 or 3 episodes basically where they just made it to where all of a sudden this is the love interest that's going to happen, and I'm just like like, I hated it. Like, it was like the characters were fine, and just that whole thing felt so forced and unnecessary for the rest of it. Like, they could have just kept them on opposite sides to an extent while still, respecting each other's teammates or whatever it is, because they were more fun when they were bickering and fighting about random nonsense than they were all of a sudden becoming love interests. Like, that to me, it didn't need to be there. And so if that's similar, because I didn't watch all of High School DD, so if that's similar, then I could definitely sympathize with that take, because it's just like, it's frustrating. It's like, dude, just let characters be the characters that they are. Like, it's fine.
I 100% agree. Goddamn. And then and we talked about that a little bit for a Kame Got Killed. That's the biggest problem with that anime, is the rapid mood swings. Like, the tempo of their mood swings in that anime is just terrible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I love it. I think it has some of the best moments in anime and some of the best characters. But god damn it, if it's definitely not a top tier fucking anime.
No, it's got high peaks and low valleys. It sounds like.
Yeah. It really does. It really does. And there's not enough room in between those high peaks and low valleys. It goes
it's a
straight down, up, straight down. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a good anime. Like, I think on my list, I put it at like a 4 out of 5, because I still think that there's a lot of, for those exact reasons, like, there's a lot of really cool parts of it, and the story itself as a whole evolves and finishes up pretty nicely. And so I liked it as a whole. Like, I thought it was a good anime. Definitely not like a 5 out of 5 anime, but there's enough good things in there that you can almost kind of overlook the nonsense. Like, almost, not fully, but enough that you get through it and still enjoy the way that they tie it all up. So, but that's going off from High School DxD.
It's like nails on chalk on a chalkboard every time you guys pronounce the X. Nails.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's there in the title. Did you not see it?
And there's just a pure awkward silence when you ignore it.
Oh, well, I'm glad there is.
I feel like you're not saying it while saying it, because you'll go like High School DD.
High School DD.
No, that's not how you said it.
High School
DxD.
D.
Yeah,
High School DxD.
You
High School
paused where the X.
The X.
D.
Yeah, you paused where the X was,
wanna
like you
keep
wanted
the
to
X.
say it, but you didn't say it out loud. You just said it in your head, and
Think
then
about it every time now.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
it's weird. It's like you were taught to read letters as they are.
Oh shit.
Another one of the animes that I saw while the animes were scrolling through, that I have no interest in truly watching, but I've seen enough clips of to know why it's a guilty pleasure anime. Ghost Stories, specifically the dub.
I threw that in there because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Viking Jedi or Owwen, either of you know anything about the dub of Ghost Stories. Just look up some clips.
I haven't watched that anime.
Watch some clips on YouTube first.
Yes, please.
So quick little backstory on Ghost Stories and why it would be a guilty pleasure anime. The anime itself flopped in Japan, like hard flopped. So when America got access to it, they said, NA, just have fun with this. And they did.
Yeah.
And they did.
All right, let me watch them.
It sounds like it has a story in the dub, But just some of the lines, oh my god, some of the lines in Ghost Stories. Oh, it's comedy does not age well, to say the least, on some of
They
them.
just dubbed whatever the fuck they wanted to dub in there, and
It's
it's the official dub. It's not
Yeah,
like even like
that's the thing. It's not an abridged, it's not a YouTube joke. Any of the clips you find online are the official dub.
like there's a little girl and there's a rabbit there, and the rabbit goes, "Touch me." She picks the rabbit up and it goes, "Touch me harder."
Oh my god, they just made a Jewish joke.
Yeah, they
there you
make
go.
Jewish
Yep.
jokes constantly throughout.
It's some
It's
stuff.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, right. They wouldn't have
its
aged well.
humor does not
This anime
does
would
not
be
age well.
canceled in 2022.
Oh my god,
Correct.
fucking Ghost Stories, man. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, and in that rabbit clip, she's like, "Oh, I miss his voice, his demands, touch me." His little quips, touch me hard, and it's not like a rabbit voice either. It's like a deep dude saying like, touch me harder. It's
Oh, I love it so much.
it's such a meme of an official dub.
Yeah.
So that definitely, if I had actually put effort into watching it, I would definitely put that on a guilty pleasure list.
every
Only
time
because it's dark comedy.
Every time they have workers, like the one guy's digging, and he says something to the boss, and the boss goes, "Just keep digging that hole digger." And then like a couple episodes later, "Just keep carrying that board carrier." Like that's like a reoccurring thing throughout. Oh,
They
Ghost
just had
Stories,
fun with it,
phenomenal.
and, I'd only want to watch it just because it's a
This
whole.
dog, I'm
a
just
shit
watching some of
post.
the clips that you are just mentioning out right now. Like this dog right here has a human face, and he's asking, "Who are you calling a dog?" And I don't even think I'm allowed to say it while we're
God no, God
Yeah.
no.
It's quiet.
Most of the jokes there you would not be able to say.
Yeah.
It's a good if you want to laugh, but it is dark humor, so take that in mind.
All right. With that being said, do you guys want to move on to Cyberpunk? Just spoiler alert everyone here, and
We
That's
can do a
quite
little
cute.
bit without spoilers, but we're not going to linger on it for too long. Maybe like 10 minutes, maybe.
okay. So I am officially calling a spoiler alert right now for Cyberpunk, though, because we will.
I'm gonna spoil shit. I don't know
We
what
will-
Dapper's saying.
we
I'm
will
gonna-
All
dig
right,
into
fine.
it.
I just wanted to give
don't
people a
think-
chance. Like, hey, if you haven't
I
seen
mean,
it, go watch it.
I-
Things to look forward to. But no,
we
we're
gave
right into it.
warning. We gave warning. That
That's
anime's
fair,
been
that's
out
fair.
a week and some
A week.
time, and yeah, no, it's too good of an anime to not talk about while the iron's still hot. In my
Then I'm
opinion.
perfectly fine spoiling. I just wanted to give people a chance. But if
Well,
right
they
into
can
it, right
still have
into
a
it.
chance. No, they can have a chance. I mean, I didn't finish my list. I still had Kill la Kill on there and
no,
Uncle
we're
from
good.
Another World as my. Did you guys watch Uncle from Another World? I don't know if anybody else watched that, but me.
I got about 3-4 episodes into it and lost interest.
Yeah, it's one of the current anime, so it's on Netflix. It's currently going. I think it's not quite done yet, but it's a weekly anime that Netflix has been putting out. I thought it was cool. It's again one of those ones that I wouldn't have normally thought I would like, but it does like a reverse isekai kind of thing. So the premise is, without doing spoilers because it is ongoing, is that the protagonist's uncle was in a coma for like 20 years or something like that, and while he was in a coma, he was in another world and basically living what we would know as an isekai life. And then he comes back, and the funny parts is they poke fun. The nephew is like expecting all these tropes of what you would expect from an isekai anime, and the uncle does like the complete most boring opposite of it. Like he didn't do any of the cool shit that you would expect.
Yeah.
Like somebody who got put into another world, had access to all these powers. He does do cool stuff, but he doesn't do like he doesn't fall for the female lead, and he doesn't like get caught up in the politics of stuff. He's like very boring, and it's really funny. It's a lot more clever than I think people would have expected given the premise. And it's, I don't know, it kind of captured me a little bit. So it's one that I'm really enjoying. It's kind of, again, a guilty pleasure in a sense that I don't know if everybody would like it, but I think it's something that if you maybe like the idea of isekais, you might like this reverse isekai concept. And Like he doesn't have a cell phone. He didn't know what a cell phone was because he was in or like modern cell phones. So he wanted a like a Razor flip phone.
Yeah, a flip phone. Yeah.
That's one of the jokes because that was the cool phone when he got knocked out. So I don't know.
That's kind of becoming a thing now. Like the isekai animes that try and like subvert expectations as far as isekai go. Like there was that one recently. I forget what it was called, but like. The main character's job was to assassinate people that came into their world from like Japan. And, like,
really? Oh my god, Executioner's Way of Life?
The Executioner's Way of Life, that's what it is, yeah.
Oh,
like Jesus. That first episode, like she's all nice to the kid, and he's talking about, oh, I can introduce mayonnaise, because that's like a thing that they always do, is like introduce mayonnaise to the world. And she's like, yeah, we've had mayonnaise for a while. Like, you know. But the thing is, all these isekai people with all these crazy powers are ruining their world. She's all nice to him, takes him to a church, and then just out of the fucking nowhere stabs him in the goddamn face.
Like literally in the side of the head, just
put it in the list. That sounds super fun. I would love that.
Oh man, because let me tell you, the first episode was good, and then it just started to drag out.
Don't ruin my fun, Owen. Okay, don't ruin my fun.
I was about to say I lost interest about 6-7 episodes in. So
I'm already like,
But
well, it's on the list now.
Isekai and fantasy are my favorite genres, so I give them a lot more. I think room to run with.
I definitely like isekais.
Fair.
So
watch Licorice Recoil first. That's the one that you gotta watch.
Oh yeah. You put that's annoying.
I was telling
Lyco Rice. You mean Lyco Rice?
About 10 out of 10 animes.
Lyco Rico?
Yeah, Licorice Recoil.
That's next after I finish Overworld, I think. Oh no, I got a Devil as part-timer season 2 because I've been waiting for that one for a long time. So I got to do that one, and then I'll do the Licorice one.
And then I've got the one after that. I've got the one after that on your list.
Okay.
Then you're watching Vivi.
Clarette's Eye Song.
Yeah. I do want to watch that.
You've got time.
Licorice Recoil, watch after, stay after the credits, episode 13.
Yep,
stay
I saw
after
that.
the credits. You need to. It's the second time I'm mentioning it. Now I'm doing it live. Stay after the credits.
So what about Kill la Kill? Any problems with that one as a
I don't understand
pleasure?
why you listed that one as a guilty pleasure. I thought that's a classic fucking.
So the only reason why was just because of the kind of extreme fan service. Like again, if grandma were to walk in, it would be one of those things where it's like I couldn't explain myself, even though I think it's a fantastic. I wish there was a season 2, even though it could be at my detriment, right? Because it was so good. The concept, the world that they built was over the top and ridiculous and fun, and I don't know. I fucking loved that anime. It was so good. But I could see it being kind of one of those, mainstream, but still kind of a guilty pleasure. Like you wouldn't suggest that to somebody who's never watched the anime before, right? That wouldn't be the first thing you would introduce them to. So I still kind of feel like if, again, somebody who doesn't watch anime walked in and saw you watching Kill la Kill, they'd be a little eyebrow raise, like, what are you doing?
One problem I had with Kill la Kill was the fact that they had such an amazing character creation, right?
Yeah.
Character development. Let's make these characters and then let's just go ahead and kill them all. Why not? I'm still, till this day, cannot get over the girl with the lollipop. I cannot get over it.
Man, it's been so long since I've seen Kill la Kill. I don't.
The redheaded girl with the lollipop.
Oh, okay.
Wait, are you thinking of a Kame ga Kill?
I think you're thinking of a Kame ga
Oh
Kill.
my god! I am in the wrong anime. You did not hear anything. Continue.
Yeah, you're thinking of a Kame ga Kill, and I agree with you. By the way, that
hurt.
was one of the one that pissed me off the most, and I wasn't sure if it was pissed me off in a good way or bad way. Because I really liked her character for the same reason. I think that them putting the two the other girl and the main protagonist together as a romance thing also pissed me off. I was like, dude, she was kind of like the one who just said and spoke her mind and was just brutally honest in a fun way. Like, she was a badass, and they killed her off in 3 episodes or whatever it was. Yeah. I don't know. It still good. The way she went was kind of cool, but just not.
That's a Kame ga Kill, though. They kill everybody.
Yeah, they really do. It is what it is. Yeah.
Speaking of spoilers, I think by the same studio. Do they do the same studio as Cyberpunk? I don't remember because I think they're the same.
Oh,
okay. So I was trying to figure out what you guys were talking about. There's actually a definition for the girls that you guys don't like, right? It's called tsundere, which is basically an adjective.
Oh,
Oh, I like them.
I like tsundere girls. I don't like
Yeah.
all
it's
the
just
girls.
I
I
like
am
all the
fair.
girls.
Girls who hate these characters and then later on fall in love with them. It's like they've always liked them. They just don't show it.
Yeah,
I think sometimes
this
it's
is-
rushed too much, though. That's the thing.
It's
like
forced.
it's tsundere the entire time, and then in one episode it flips on a dime out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's the part that makes it like maybe that could have gone better.
But I'm very familiar with that. I don't dislike that character. Sometimes I do. When it's like too much, like just constant screaming and being annoying. Like what was the zombie one that you one of you guys recommended for me
that
to
was
watch?
me. Is this a zombie? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, literally in the first episode you have a tiny girl screaming at the main guy, like it was just immediate, and like then she's living with them. I was just like, what? Come on, bro. That's too much. I can't deal.
But
so I got over that.
Like I
That's
explained,
that's the trope that I don't like. That's the
Yeah.
version of it that I don't. I loved it in A Comic Got Killed. I thought she was great. I thought she was a beautifully well done character. Way more depth and fun than just being I'm loud and I'm upset with the main protagonist because edgy. Like, yeah.
well, that's the thing with this is this a zombie? Is that it's all done to make fun of tropes? Like
Right.
she is specifically designed to be that trope and to make fun of it. Like
Right.
And then you've got the one girl shows up with huge titties and she's a vampire ninja assassin. And it's like they're
I
just
haven't gotten that far.
that she
I
well
watched
she
the first episode,
she
I
has her
couldn't do it more.
move swallow return strike. And it's different every single time. It's never the same move. Like that's what that anime does. It just makes fun of tropes.
So I
Just
have
like
to give it more, is what you're telling me.
Kill la
'Cause I
Kill
watched that
is
first one, it was terrible.
Kill la Kill is the same studio that did Cyberpunk.
oh no
okay.
shit.
Oh, same as New Penny and Stockings.
Kill la Kill or a Kami Ga Kill?
Kill la Kill.
Okay.
Oh, and
Yeah,
are
same-
you on
same
board now
studio.
with Kill la Kill versus Comic Got Kill?
No, I'm
Like
just
it.
saying, like, I remember that the studio shared something with Cyberpunk, and it was Infernal Cops, Kill la Kill, all done by Studio Trigger, which also did Cyberpunk
it.
Edgerunners.
Nice. Kill la Kill's the one where she uses half of a scissor as a weapon.
That sounds about right.
He dies first.
And their clothes give them.
Yeah, their clothes give them powers.
Yeah.
And stuff. Anyway, we can move on to Cyberpunk now if everybody's
go.
ready.
All right.
So
we're gonna
that's
spoil
how we
it.
avoid. That's how we
Before
avoided
get to
spoilers.
Cyberpunk,
but-
real quick,
Oh.
breaking news.
Oh.
Season 3 was just announced for The Devil is a Part-Time.
Oh, sick.
Oh no
Gonna
shit.
be
Cool. There you go.
Exciting.
That is exciting.
But I
There
do
you
see
go.
a little bit of spoilers. Damn it. All right, continue.
Well, since we're still talking about spoilers, Cyberpunk.
Yes.
We're about to spoil the shit out of it. So if you haven't
Yes.
watched Cyberpunk, get the fuck out.
Yes.
And then come back right after you finish the series, because this
Oh,
will be this will be an episode after the live. So if you're watching this as a video, come back right as you finish.
it's really
'Cause
good.
we will be very insightful.
It was one of your 10 out of 10s, right?
It was one of my 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think Dapper
Uh,
enjoyed it a bit more than the rest of us. So Dapper, lead the way on the Cyberpunk discussion, buddy.
Yes, this is an anime that I'm trying to show to as many people as possible. And part of the reason for it is I enjoy watching, short form animes. So this one being exactly 10 episodes is really good, and it follows a formula that I personally like, where we spend a few episodes setting up the world, so that way if you didn't know the world, you can get into it very easily. A lot
doing
of
the
it
same
going
thing,
into
Wings.
it.
I was typing the exact same message, literally. Spoilers incoming.
Yep.
Red flag.
It does a good job setting up the world, and then lets you be in that world for a little bit. Then it ends the story. It's a small series, so you got to end the story somehow. But with this one, rewatching it, I'm noticing things that I never noticed the first time, which obviously you do with any anime. But one of the biggest things that I did notice is there's this recurring theme of cliffs and taking a leap of faith. It's not ever explicitly said, but it's commonly shown. So when you're in David's hometown and leaving his apartment, you see him jump off the staircase onto the trash. And then when he's in Arasaka Center, it takes that small step onto the road. And then, other moments later on where he's stealing the Arasaka equipment at the end of the series, right before he goes nuts. And there's the massive cliff right there at the end. And at the very end, at the very top of it all, he's standing at the edge of Arasaka Tower at the biggest height of his life, looking
Right.
down at his lowest. So there's this reoccurring theme of cliffs and standing at the edge of them and stepping over that edge. It's not something that you'll notice if you're looking through it the first time, but looking back, like, you can see how much danger the situation's going to be in by what he's stepping over at that moment. That's one of the things that I just wanted to point out right out of the gate.
I think that's very astute, and I think that is a bit of the theme. Like, he does what it takes to reach the top so many times, but he always does just that little bit more to drop himself over the edge. Just throughout the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
I did not put that together, but it does make a lot of sense now that you're mentioning it. Yeah, it's even stuff that like his mom talked about, where him climbing to the top of the ladder, basically the corporate ladder. That's very, very interesting. I like that. That's something I didn't pick up on. So pretty cool.
Now, somebody said when we were talking about 1010 animes, they were talking about how much they hated Cyberpunk and how they thought it was the worst anime of this year. And I was interested. I'm like, well, why do you think that is? And I understand his reasons. I don't agree. I think it's one of the best animes of this year, but I understand his reasoning, which was they could have done a lot more with David. But I think within the confines of the show and the environment that he was in, I think David made the decisions that a lot of people would have made in that particular, in that situation.
In those scenarios.
It was the decisions he made were grounded, as opposed to your standard anime thing, which would have seen him taking the Sandavista. Is that what it was called? The
Sandevistan.
Oh, the Sandevistan. And like figuring out cool ways just to use that without gaining any other technology or anything like that. I think that's what we normally would have seen out of an anime. But no, he just fucking he's reached a height with the Sandevistan, whatever the fuck. And he could have stayed high with that thing, but he takes it over the edge once again and starts adding more and more and just doing too much to where he's mired himself once again.
I think that, to me, that was probably one of the things that I was disappointed about. And while again, I do kind of agree with you that he didn't follow the typical storyline approach to it, or the writers didn't. I guess it's the transition that they showed, right? So again, spoiler alert, when the boss of the group dies, and then he becomes like, literally it's like, skip the training montage. Now he's the boss. He's got all these new upgrades. Him and and Lucy are living together, and they're in this penthouse suite. Like, before he was still living in his old apartment that him and his mom had, and he weren't paying bills. So it was like this sudden shift and jump to who he was as a character, and all the new modifications that kind of threw me. I was like, so maybe if they had done like a little bit of like a montage or something to build to that. I also thought it would have been cooler. I agree with the critique that for him to, because this is the thing. I love that they built him up as supposed to be this super intelligent kid. Like, he was going to this school, he was getting all straight A's, like, despite his upbringing, despite like, where he's supposed to be in the status of life, he was rising above that and being smart and being and whatever. He was intelligent despite those things. And I kind of was hoping that would have been more to the forefront. And instead it just became, I'm going to grab all the power that I can. And that's not what I would think an intelligent person would do. Like, I would feel like if he's as smart as they portrayed him to be, he would do things a little bit more intelligently. And they never, ever, and throughout the whole thing, showcase his intelligence at all. It's just constant power grab. And I just found that to be a bit of a letdown. Why even include the fact that he's this super smart kid in the first place? Like, why even build that up as a part of who he is as a character if you're not going to use it in some capacity? That's my gripe. I still think it's a beautiful and great anime. That's just my gripe with it as a whole, is I just hated that they just did that when they didn't need to. And the fact that he just basically threw away Lucy. Like, I hated that. I hated the fact that he just foregone like all the beauty of their possible growth for obtaining this thing that he didn't need to obtain because he felt like he needed to save her. And he she didn't need to be saved. Like you misunderstood, and that could be into itself. Like that's just me now upset with the way he chose. It still can be a good thing about the anime, but at the other part, I was a bit bummed by the choice.
Let me say this real quick. They foreshadowed the shit out of his intelligence, only to use it as a justification for offering him a scholarship to get back into the school. Like, that's the only payoff we got from talking about how intelligent he was.
Yeah.
And that's kind of bullshit to me. But
and that is completely understandable. I totally get all those gripes.
What's up, Stormhawk? Spoilers. Spoilers here. Spoilers are being talked about. Spoilers.
Cyberpunk Edgerunner spoilers. Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
So yeah. To the extent of his intelligence and it not being as much of a role outside of the scholarship, that was kind of the point. And obviously, it's completely fair to say, I didn't like that they set that up and then it went nowhere. But that's what I felt the point was. You tell the world this character's really smart. They're doing the best, and they're incredible with what they have. But then to do nothing with that shows that he's throwing his life away. He's not trying to use that. It's not that he didn't have it. It's just that he never attempted to use it. The point was for you to also kind of, like, he's the main character. David's the main character. Mm-hmm. But the point is also to be like, come on, you could do better. And that's what a lot of the characters say as well. That's what Lucy tries to say to him throughout all of it. You could do better. You don't have to be a cyberpunk. You don't have to be an edge runner. You could do more with your life.
I took it differently than that. It's not even so much about like the letdown of like, you have all this potential and you're not using it, like, which I get, like, and I think that's a fairly good story, one that's been told before and in some aspects. I guess to me it was like, this was just, I feel like there's moments where like you can have intelligence matter in his decisions, even if it's like at his own detriment, right? Like they just never used the fact that he was a smart guy, even while making mistakes, like, or making choices that we wouldn't have wanted for him to make. It's the fact that he was like this really smart kid doing, it was like that. It wasn't even like he was smart and making bad choices. It was just that he was just making choices. Like, they were instinctual choices rather than thought out choices. And I don't know, like, you have, like, again, to me, if you're a smart person, and this is just humanity, I feel like most intelligent people who are educated or at least have some education or have natural intelligence, you're not just going to have your base instincts be the focus point of your drive. Like it's just not, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit what I would consider human nature. And since this is a human nature show, what makes it pretty and cool and interesting, and the cyber world in general makes it interesting, is that it exposes all natures of humanity, in my opinion. They do it beautifully in the game, and they do it good in this. I just felt like they ruined his intelligence being a part of who he was. If that's the case, you could have just had him be a punk kid whose mom was forcing him to go to a school that he shouldn't be in. Like, they didn't need to build that up at all. They could have just used it as the fact that, like, she was spending all of her money to make him go to this school, hoping that he would do well. But no, they showed it him also being really good in that school. Mm-hmm. Like, why add that extra thing? They didn't need to. They didn't need to add that. I guess that makes sense, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I take the gripe. Yeah. It's like they had this really cool build-up of a character, and then, I don't know.
I totally get it.
It felt kitschy.
Yeah, and that's understandable. There are definitely, I can definitely see why it just felt like it goes absolutely nowhere.
So be right back. Gonna go watch Edge Runner.
No, I personally didn't finish Edge Runner yet, but one of the things that really got me was the whole scenery on which this anime gets placed at. Like, the developers of this movie really did their research well. How would it be to have a futuristic city like this, or how people are able to, like, have different modifications within their body, like kung fu, or like different knowledge depending on how much money you get. You have all these privileges, like medical attention. Like, the moment the mom dies and the paramedics arrive into the scene and they go to save her, they just let her die. Mm-hmm. And it starts giving you hints from the beginning, right? They have a washing machine at home, yet even the washing machine that they already have requires money to actually work. And that's the first thing that got me. I was like, they need money for everything. Everything in that anime says money is the most important thing in this entire environment. And
Cash
I mean,
rules everything around me.
yeah,
Corpo society.
it was pretty impressive what these guys did, you know.
Well, and it's
And-
also like the complete disregard of life too. Like the even the doctor who's sitting there, it's like in our current modern society, like they will do everything they can to save your life, even if you don't have insurance, even if you don't have the money to pay for it, right? You'll just be in massive amounts of debt, which a lot of people are in this country, but they will do this stuff, right? Whereas in that world, they're like, oh well, she didn't have the premium insurance, so she died.
We
Sorry.
did well. I mean, it's not even that inherent either. Like, if you actually go back and see the scene, she actually lives through the operation the first time.
Right.
She's like, oh, she's gonna make it. She's stable. Whatever.
Yep.
We did the best we could with your poor plan. Is almost exactly what he said. Like, we did what we could with your discount plan. And then we come back a scene or so later, and it's like she didn't make it. And they're like, why? Well, she just kind of gave up. But hey, we've got a plan if you want to send your body somewhere. And everything has to be paid for. And like both times, he's like, there's a reason people pay for insurance. There's a reason people pay for insurance. And in Cyberpunk, because for you, Owen, the people that worked on the game actually had a good hand when it came to the show as well. So Project CD,
I believe that. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. They had a heavy hand in all of it. So you can go visit the sites that are in the show in the game, which is awesome. But that's why it feels so close to the game if you have played the game. And if you haven't, the show represents the game's world very well, if nothing else. So it's a very corporate heavy society. You know, everything's you gotta pay for it, and if you can't pay for it, then you gotta sell something of yours for it. It's depressing, especially because, as mentioned, when they're going to pick up David's mom from a car crash, she's like, "Oh, not a policy holder, just leave her here," and then they just walk away. As you hear David like, "Mom, no, Mom!" It's gut wrenching.
Yeah.
Side note for anyone that didn't know, David has the same voice actor as Tanjiro in Demon Slayer.
No shit.
In the dub.
I don't ever watch
fun fact
dubs.
there.
In
Yeah, I
fact,
don't watch dubs.
That you
American
wanted.
television, I look up like Japanese dubs for it and then watch subtitles. For like Friends.
But for the dub, Tanjiro is the same voice actor in Demon Slayer and Cyberpunk. So fun fact there for the dub. Another theme that kind of goes without saying, but is also explicitly said, I think, twice, is, David's progression as a character and how he grows throughout it. So as we know, when the mother dies, he gets the jacket. It's a dope jacket, by the way. And then when Maine dies, he gets his arms, because he called dibs on them earlier.
Right.
Which I found a little funny the first time I saw it. I was like, hey, I got dibs on your arms. And then when Maine's dying, it's like, gotta grab these arms. And then gets out with them. But, as Lucy says, is like, you're carrying someone else's dreams. Why are you doing it? Don't you have your own dreams? And later on in the anime, we see David literally carrying those dreams with all of his body. He's still wearing his mother's jacket. He literally has Maine's arms. He's not living his own dream. He's living everyone else's and replacing himself with those dreams. It's sad to see, for sure.
Again,
But
we
you
are
can-
spoiling Edge Runners right now. If
by the
anybody just came in.
By the way, a lot of spoilers right there out of the gate for anyone that just showed up. But yeah,
He's
it's
already seen
interesting.
it. That's cool.
Okay, good. But that's one of the things that goes very much, implicitly that David's literally replacing himself with literally everyone else's dreams. And then even at the end, when he gets into the mech at the end, he's replacing himself with what Arasaka wants, which is him to be in that mech. And he loses himself throughout all of it, and all for other people. It's sad to see.
And not for the right people either.
No, God,
Like
no.
as Lucy
Mother-
points out, he could have his dreams. He could live for her dreams if he even wanted to. But he's living for his mom's dream and Maine's dream, and they're both gone. So like,
They're both
what's the
toxic
point?
dreams too, almost. Like as Lucy
Kinda,
mentioned, and
yeah.
yeah, and David even mentions like I don't want to be a corpo. I don't want to work for Arasaka. That's not the life I want. And yet when she dies, he takes that dream with him. When Maine dies, a man running a gang, he takes that with him. They're not healthy dreams, but he physically replaces himself with those other people's dreams, and it's unfortunate to watch happen.
I think that's part of the reason why, like, it feels like what I was mentioning earlier with, and what I think the guy who was saying that he didn't really like the anime. I don't agree that the anime is bad. I do think it's a really good anime, by the way. I don't have it as a 10 out of 10, but I definitely think it's like an 8.5 to a 9. It's a really good anime, and the animation, the music is really really good.
Oh yeah.
And the animation is really really good. And of course the world, because of the video game, is very 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 interesting and cool, and I really love the universe that Cyber's taken. But I think the downfall of David is part of the reason why it felt really bad to have such a dramatic shift. And that's why I'm saying, like, for me, I don't even necessarily have a problem with like this whole thing of him wanting to, the tragedy of his character living for the people that have passed. It's that they don't really do a very good job of, like, I guess I don't know how to, it's that, like, again, from the moment where Maine dies, and then they do like a flash forward basically
and he
of
chromed
however
up entirely.
yeah, he's like, he's all beefed up, he's got like a bunch more modifications, he's running the show now. Like, it just felt like it was just such a weird,
it's a
hard,
stark
dramatic
contrast
shift
out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, especially since when Maine died, he was still a rookie as far as they were all concerned. Like, and now he's the boss. Like, somehow he's going to take over for any of the other characters. I mean, it is what it is. It's happened in anime before. It just, to me, that's, I think, because of that dramatic shift, it makes, I never found myself rooting for him. I found myself rooting for him for the side characters, which all were, for whatever reasons, attaching themselves to him. And I think that was what was still kind of, fun to watch, is them trying to pull him out of his own way, in a sense. And that was very well done. I think it was kind of really cool and beautifully done, that you could see the love that these characters developed for him, and he just couldn't pull himself away from his own demise, which is cool as a story.
Oh yeah.
Even Becca, who had obviously just embraced that way of life, still wanted more for David.
Right. And that's, again, that's a very cool story. Like, I don't disagree with the decision to have him be, I don't know. Do you know what it almost felt like, that the transition from Game of Thrones, from, like the season 6 Daenerys to season 8 Daenerys, where you're just like, who is this person destroying the world now all of a sudden with no context or whatever? Like, the madness that is.
Hey, we didn't say we were spoiling Game of Thrones. We said we were spoiling
Game of Thrones has been out for too long. It's the same thing as spoiling A Comic Got Killed, dude. It's an old show at this point. I don't care.
Fair. But yeah, the stark contrast, again, is supposed to be the point. It's like, who did David turn into? Who is this guy now? What has he done with his life to get to this point? And also goes to the point of holding on to Maine's dream. Maine wanted a community that he could hold together and give everyone a shot. So he gave up everything else to focus on becoming the head honcho there. As for everyone latching onto him, they all do it for different reasons, and some of them never really do. Kiwi's a good example for that. She never really cares that much about David. Even at the end, she doesn't care about David. It's all about getting back to Faraday.
Yeah.
But like, people do it for their own reasons. Rebecca does it because she likes him, and which is adorable as fuck, by the way. Lucy does it because, she shared his dream with him, and he took that in stride. He didn't like laugh at it like other people seem to have in the past. He took that in stride, like, oh, that's a beautiful dream. I'll promise to get you there. So people follow him for their own reasons, and it's all individual, which is really cool.
Yeah. Scourge brings up in the comments he wasn't a rookie when Main died. That is true. He wasn't a rookie, but he wasn't exactly like second in command or anything. He was still kind of the new guy, the lowest guy on the totem pole. And
that's what I mean. More like they over that montage of them doing jobs. It was still within a few months of each other. Like it wasn't like he had progressed up an immense amount. He was still a teenager, basically in high school or whatever. Like it's like, and then they transition to after Main dies to him being the boss of this new group, basically, that everybody's like, rallying behind, and they're sending rookies to him. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but Main had obviously shown him the ropes before he had.
I guess I take issue with the transition rather so much as the end result. That's where I'm at.
They should have showed more of him taking over for Main, struggling with it a little bit.
They could have done a music montage like they did at the beginning of the show. Like that's what I'm saying.
That's fair. They did a great job. They did a great job integrating David into the gang through that montage of like, hey, I need jobs. I need a job. Come on, give me something. And then you see him just working with the others, even if it is small shit.
Yep.
Like giving the dude his hands and then
that was
going on a jog with Lucy. They could. I guess they could have done that, and that might have made it flow a bit better. But
Midev brings up a good point. David just never really felt like he fit in, and then he realized it was unsustainable, so he decided to use his time to fulfill the dreams of others. But I would counter and say that people gave him plenty of opportunities to step back and dechrome a little bit.
Oh yeah, like multiple times. Rebecca's like, "Hey, Rebecca."
Yeah, even Rebecca.
How she changes her output. Like there's a small moment where she's like, where Kiwi's like, "Have you tried a different approach?" She's like, instead of hot-headed and out there, dark, mysterious, and edgy as fuck. Is basically what she says.
Yeah.
And then later on, we see her more of that soft, connected person. Like, "Hey, what was that today? Are you sure you're okay? Maybe after this next job, you slow down on the chrome. Just relax a little bit." So other characters, and Lucy does it too, as well. Like later on, it's like, "Hey, maybe we should slow down, take a step back from it all." But David's at this point too far gone to the chrome that he's starting to lose it. And that's what we start to see is he thinks he's so special that he can handle it all. And he did up until he was more machine than man. And then he starts to lose it, which is, something that's pretty common in that world. It's just that he was always told, "You're so smart. You're so special. You can handle this. You got this." So we always took that as, if I can handle it, then why would I stop now?
I mean, I think he only heard that message really from his mom, right? Was that and then
he heard it from his mom, and then after using the Sand Devastan 10 times, the first day he got it. Wow, right. You can handle Chrome that well. Even later on, when he is chromed out, his Ripper Dog's like, "Dude, you've got so much Chrome, and yet you're still going. How can you string sentences together?" And then even at the end, Adam Smash was like, "You are so much mech. How can you say more than 2 words?" Like, right. Even as he's at his finale, people are surprised how much he can handle.
And it was because of his compatibility with the Chrome that they wanted him to basically use that exoskeleton.
Yes.
So, I mean, Arasaka, even they thought like, Yeah, that's the biggest reason they gave him that scholarship back is not because they thought he was a good student, but because they wanted their Sand Devastan back, so he could use as a test subject. And he even hears that from Tanaka.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't even want the Sand Devastan back. They just want him because he's obviously very compatible.
So special.
Right.
He's told that by everyone. Even
the characters never told them that. Like the corporals never told him that he was special in that way. Like he just just assumed his own specialness because of his ability to use the sand. I can't say it. Whatever.
Sand Devastan. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. But I mean, no. As they're interrogating Tanaka and going in a brain dive into his mind, he does say, "I brought you back because I see you. I see something special in you." He does say that. I mean, he definitely might have been saying it out of trying to live, considering he was chained up half naked to a toilet while his mind was being searched for information. But
yeah.
But he does say that because he might just be trying to live, but he does say that. He's like, I brought you back because I see that you can be better than this. And then David's like, "Oh, you're going to use me And then Tanaka's like, "Oh, they're just using you. Don't you see that?" And then David's like, "Oh, but Arasaka wouldn't either."
Yeah.
But I mean, he's told it a lot more than just his mother. But it's no justice for why he should keep going. And eventually he says it himself when he's standing on the top of the Arasaka truck out in the desert. It's like, "I'm special, okay? I've been told enough. I just need to accept it. Shoot the harpoon." And then he goes and grabs it.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so much going on. It's beautiful.
It is a good anime, and the music
yeah.
is really good.
Oh yeah.
And
Becca
action
best
scenes
girl.
are really good.
Becca best
Oh, yeah.
girl all the way.
Oh yeah.
I disagree, but I can see why you would say so.
Who did you think?
Lucy's
then?
best girl, obviously.
Really?
I'm not talking about
Really?
hottest. I'm talking about
No.
best.
And still Lucy's
Still
best
Lucy?
girl.
Okay.
I think so, dude. She went back, put herself back into the dangerous situation and going into the deep dives because she saw what they were planning to do with David, and
Right.
so she couldn't explain it to him without revealing the danger, because then he wouldn't be
He
able to
would
keep
try to
doing
do something about it.
Right. He wouldn't keep doing the things that he was doing, which was at that point, from her perspective, small jobs or whatever. And then he gets the offers, right, to do some of the bigger jobs where the political minds at play start to really reel him in. And she tries to prevent that in a I think a really cool way. And she's got the cool hair. She's got the cool moves. She's got the weapons that are super neat. I mean, the other girl just yells a lot and shoots machine guns and never hurts anybody. I mean, I'm just saying, like it's very, very boring.
Yeah, except for when she shoots them in the fucking head.
You know, outside of that, and then when her big brother gets shot, she's like, "You fucker, you stole that kill from me."
Yeah. I love
think-
Becca. She was humorous. I
Oh,
didn't
she
think
was
she yelled.
fun.
She didn't yell that much unless she was in combat, which I think is fun.
She was in combat or angry. Those were the two moments she did it. Other
Yeah,
than
she
that,
wasn't
her
just
whole
a
character. She was
wasn't
either in
just a
combat or
screaming-
angry.
What, you
Well-
are not a Becca connoisseur like I am, good sir.
But she also grew from that. Like, she wasn't that hot-headed short sack the entire time. Like, as mentioned in the latter half of the series, she softens up. She does care about David, because even like
True.
the first time she interacts with David, you know, outside of the job, she's like, "Oh, David, my man," and then she's like, "Oh, you're fucking adorable, David," because he's happy that he got money. Like, she always cared for him. It's just it grew as he grew because she likes him. You know, that's
Right.
pretty obvious. But it's not something she's trying to do for like. She doesn't like physically like him, and that's
You
it.
you guys
cares
said best
emotionally.
girl. I'm not saying she wasn't a good character. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
she was a great character. I just don't think she's best girl. Okay, like, let's get that out of the way.
I don't know why you don't like her.
I didn't say you piece of shit. I think Medev brings up another great point. I think they tried to keep David pretty one note because his role in the show was to progress the story. If he carries the story forward, then everyone else is given the opportunity to grow. It also lets people put themselves into the story, making the main character more generic equals insert yourself into the story, which I think actually fits really well into the fact that it's based in a video game world,
Right.
like, which you become, through V, the main character, right? And you have your story to drive. I kind of agree in the sense that maybe is what they were going for, but I typically find that if you're going to be immersed in a show, you have to feel like you are represented by the character. And I don't like to think of myself as a stupid person. I wouldn't say I'm an overly intelligent person either, but I have enough intelligence to realize how stupid I am, right? So that's saying something. And I think David was supposed to be somebody who was more intelligent than he got to showcase, and that I take issue with. And maybe it's just a personal thing. Like maybe it's because I'm a dad or whatever. I really hate it when someone has potential and doesn't use it. But in this case,
the
it's not
point I was trying.
I know, but it's not. That's the thing, is it's not even so much like he has potential in his intelligence and then doesn't use it. It's more like they just disregard his intelligence as part of his character outside of saying that he's intelligent. And I think that's the part that I take issue with. Like they never. It's like, okay, he's this really smart kid and deserves to be in this place. But they never actually showcase it.
Though. That's the
I guess, like it's just, but it's not even. I don't know.
I mean,
It just
he's
felt-
given, as mentioned earlier, he's given multiple outs. People try and get him that option. Arasaka even tries to give him that option. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're intelligent. You can come back to school. And he's like, no, I don't want to. This is the life I choose.
right.
So
I get it. Again, I just
Yeah.
I just don't
it
like.
doesn't.
I don't
it
like
doesn't
it.
vibe with you.
Yeah, I don't like it for
Just
that
fine.
reason, regardless of why they chose to go that way. And I guess if they were going to do that, they could have done it better than they did, in my opinion. But that doesn't take away from how good of an anime it was still. And it was a very good anime.
Yeah,
Tyrion
which is
Lannister
perfectly
in season 8 of Game of Thrones is this exactly 100%. Tyrion Lannister is actually a really, really good point. Like they take this guy who's like, I drink and I know things, and then they turn him into a bumbling idiot in season 8. Like it's like, come on, fuck off.
I didn't really watch Game of Thrones that much, to tell you the
Oh, dude, one of the
truth.
best shows ever made. Seriously,
I'm one of those
It's so
assholes
good.
that's like, I read the books.
I read the books too, and I will tell you that it's like it doesn't cover everything in the books. I know this is a side tangent, but I'll say that they do a very, very good, especially in the first 6 seasons of bringing that world to life in front of your face, and the acting is top tier, dude. It's like Sopranos. It's to me, Sopranos used to be one of my favorite shows of all time. This by far unseats Sopranos because I thought Sopranos was beautifully done too.
You mean
but
Edge
Game of
Runners?
Thrones- Yeah, Edge Runner. I do think Edge Runners is actually beautifully done. I think, and that's what's. I kind of agree with Bindev's point is that like the side characters were way more interesting and fun than the main character, because I guess they were maybe wanting you to insert yourself as the main character and feel like but I just never got that immersion. Maybe I'm the one missing out, and that's why I didn't enjoy that aspect as much as maybe somebody else would. But I do love the anime, and I would recommend it to everybody to go and watch it, and which is why I also didn't want to wait more than a week to talk about it, because I do think it's a really, really good anime. Yeah, I mean, and the music, again, I'm going back to this music. That first song had me hooked, dude. I was bought the fuck in, dude. That song with him walking out just sailed it. I was hooked. But I watched the sub. I watched the sub version, by the way, not the dub version.
A Scourge book smarts does not mean street smarts, but I think that they showed that David had a fair amount of both,
right,
and didn't use either.
No, like there's even a moment where they're trying to figure out how to get Tanaka the second time, and Kiwi's like, "Oh, would you look at that? He's a dropout from Arasaka Academy." And then Main's like, wait, no, you're a grade A student? What the hell? As if you would ever be. And then Kiwi's like, no, top of his class.
That's
so
what
he
I'm
had
saying.
both. Yeah, he had both.
And did nothing with it. Like, it wasn't even like he was setting up like intelligent like jobs or anything. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they would have used it even while he was being an idiot edge runner, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But be the smart, intelligent one, not the one that's just like, you know, gullible at every chance to earn a fucking dollar. Like, at this point, especially, he's living in a fucking penthouse and he's acting like, you know, getting. I played the game. I know.
I know how much a penthouse costs.
Dude, you're not, dude. Yeah, he couldn't afford. He couldn't. I'm just saying. Anyway, that bothered me. Mid-dev, we did talk about those ones already earlier in the episode. I agree with you. Uncle from Another World was my guilty pleasure. I think it's still a really good anime, but it was a guilty pleasure anime for me, and I'm glad you agree with me. I'm agreeing with a lot of what he's agreeing with me about.
A lot.
He's a smart guy, obviously.
Yes. But, you know, back to rewatching, giving you more insight on it. Like, we go back to early on where Lucy, as I mentioned earlier, again, like, we see David putting on the dreams of others, and Lucy's like, you know, you don't have to do that. And the first time you hear that, you know, it's like, oh, she's just trying to help him. That's kind. How adorable. And then you realize she's talking from experience of being forced to live Arasaka's dreams.
Right.
So knowing that the second time, it makes that scene more impactful as well, to where it's like, oh, she's not saying this just to be kind. She's saying this from experience. How depressing. To say the least there.
All right. Yeah, so I've said everything I've needed to say. You guys want to start wrapping it up?
There's one more thing I want to say before we end, if that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. They did cyber psychosis really well here. And not from a perspective of the game, but just cyber psychosis in general. They make it sound like it's just, oh, you're wearing too much chrome. Oh, you're too metalled out. But it's more than just that. It's the trauma from everything leading up to that. Almost every time we see David or any character starting to go into cyberpsychosis, we see flashback of traumatic experiences of when his mother died, of when Maine dies, of when he takes out as a bystander because of a psychotic breakdown. Like, we see him cut back to that too. So it's just, cyberpsychosis was shown well as more of a symptom of PTSD more than just metal over the mind. It doesn't mix well. If you have too much metal and your mind's breaking down, it just doesn't end well. So I think they did a good job with cyberpsychosis as well in the show. Watch it. Even if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you have watched it, watch it again. See what you missed the first time.
That actually brings up an interesting point that I thought they did really well for people who like didn't play the game or whatever. And I thought Arcane did a very similar job to this. Like, you can watch Edgerunners and get like they sprinkle in the information you need to know about how the world works and the way things work and the ups and downs of this world, while not beating you over the head with it. Like, it's not like you're made to feel stupid in a sense. Like, you get a very, very quick grasp of the way the world works, I feel like, and I think that's intelligent writing and animation to showcase those things. You basically would have to have your brain turned off to not figure out how all this stuff works, and the progression of it, which I think is really, really cool. But yeah. And my favorite scene, by the way, is when they fought the guy who was peeing off the edge of a thing or whatever.
Such a dark scene, but such a good
dude,
scene.
it's such a dark scene. But
they didn't really fight him, did they?
It was a fight. Explosions happened. Guns were fired. People were knocked out. People were killed.
It was a fight.
Yeah, okay.
People were very injured.
Yeah.
very, very injured, yeah.
Yeah, 2 people were decently injured.
It's probably my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of the show. It was that part in particular.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that like the whole like eyes changing and moving around was showcasing. I don't know. It was really, really.
It was a
really
really
cool.
good scene. I'll agree.
I liked it a lot. That was probably my favorite scene personally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I am also ready to wrap it up. I actually do need to go pick up my kid here shortly. So,
All right. Owwen, are you still there?
I was still here.
All right. Any final words as we wrap things up tonight?
Not me.
there you go.
I said everything I had to say about it. I'm definitely gonna continue watching it though.
It's really good.
Worth
I'm
it.
sorry that we spoiled it for you, Owyn. It's a bummer.
We
man.
actually said not as many spoilers as I expected, in all fairness.
Yeah,
You
we really
gave away
didn't.
the ending. You literally told what happens at the end. That's
We
the
never
most-
actually said what happens at the end.
We hinted at one thing happening, but we didn't say explicitly what happens
Okay.
at the end.
You know what? Owen can watch the
Just
rest
don't
of it, and
repeat
then
it.
he can let us. He can come back with a report
Yeah.
card of our spoilers. Was
Yeah.
it super spoiled, like spoiled milk, or was it more like tepid?
Yeah.
All right, Jedi, any final words? Any plugs?
Plugs. No. Oh, I guess FTM. Most everybody who's probably going to watch this will know about FTM. That will be on Sunday live. And I'm excited about that. I think this week is going to be a little bit of a lighter week for FTM, since nothing has happened yet. But outside of that, I guess the only other mini plug will give. This is more of a future plug, kind of like what Dapper does. I do think that once Overprime or Predecessor or both are out, I will stream those because I think I'll enjoy streaming those games. So and I'll stream it on my YouTube channel. So if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, feel free to. There's not really anything for you to do there now. There's some old VODs that I did, but if you want to catch me live when those games come out, I will be probably streaming those live. Maybe I can convince Mangos to do the same at the same time with me. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, so that's probably my only plug. Oh, and Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter if you want. It's fine. That's it. Plug over.
Dapper?
Yeah, my YouTube channel has old Overprime CBT2 footage, and in about 15-ish minutes, I will be live on Twitch, keeping up my MOBA skills, playing ARAM on League. So if you want to join me there, I'll be
nice.
playing League of Legends ARAM because I want to keep my MOBA skills up for when Overprime and Ethereal and Predecessor release. So
Right
Twitch, DapperDice. See you guys soon.
I got nothing to plug. I appreciate everybody coming out. If you're watching this live stream, appreciate you watching the video if you're watching that. And I do want to remind people that anime is not what my channel is now. A lot of people seem to think that I've abandoned everything else for anime. This is just in addition to, not precluding, but that is going to be the My Life in Another Anime podcast crew signing off. You guys have a good one.
Like a fun side piece, That's all it is.
It's because it's the only thing with info these days.
Channel members, I have Bloodhunter, Jelly
Any
Knees,
content.
Meow Mix from In,
Yeah,
Blaster
awesome.
Boys King, Raven,
So,
and
Alright,
is
always a
that
pleasure.
subject or what?
Isekai next subject, oh bro, that would be my favorite. I haven't watched as much Isekai though. That's the whole thing. Is like, see, I'm growing as an anime